on to the next section, that is literature review. You need to understand that literature review is only a requirement in case of a dissertation or a thesis. In case of an original research article, there are only 4 components that you have to write: introduction, material and method, result, and discussion. And in case of an original research article, this literature review is actually incorporated inside the discussion section. So just let's quickly go through this literature review for a dissertation or a research thesis. And again, probably now you would realize the value of knowing the tips and tricks for an effective literature search, because an effective literature search is going to save you a lot of time, and probably you're going to hunt all the articles that you're looking for, and hopefully you will be able to access the full text PDF of those articles as well. So please refer back to my lecture on effective tips and tricks for literature search. And as we discussed during that lecture, that whenever you're doing a literature search specifically for a dissertation or a thesis, please do not stop and do not restrict yourself only to journals and databases. Please also explore books and also explore the gray literature. And you might recall that the gray literature includes the dissertations, the theses that are available online, and specifically the recommended website is www.oatd.org, which is open access and thesis dissertation.org. It's a great site. Then you must also explore other databases and conference websites where they usually publish the conference proceedings or conference abstracts. Then you also might want to explore the official scientific websites of different organizations and different institutes who publish their research or who have their own repositories. And this is all part of doing an in-depth literature review or literature search for your dissertation and thesis. So what a literature review is? So literature review is actually a review and critique of the published literature in the candidate's own words. So you go through a list of literature, you pick and choose the most appropriate or the most relevant articles or resources for your literature review, and then you download them, then you read them again and again, then you try to make them notes out of them, or you like note down the important point from every article, and then you critique them, and then you write them, and then you have to discuss the various viewpoints. So something might be in your favor and something might not be in the favor of your hypothesis, but you have to mention every point of view accurately and exactly as they have been mentioned in the literature. And probably this is the place where you stop for a moment and you try to understand that this is not some exercise in copy paste, that you simply go online, you choose certain articles, you copy and you paste them. Don't do that. You must be aware of plagiarism and the different form of scientific misconduct that can be conducted at this stage. So please recall what we discussed, that you should not be doing verbatim, that is copy paste. You should not be doing patchworking. You should not be doing this mosaic kind of plagiarism, and also try to avoid self-plagiarism as well. Then again, you have to give a lot of references for the literature review at appropriate places, and you should always follow the correct format. For literature review, again, we all know that the medical science is moving at a very fast pace, and every week something new is coming up. And ever since this online publication started, even articles which are not published or not printed are accessible to researchers all around the globe well before they are published in print form. So that's why your literature review should be accurate and it should be updated. So one of the recommendation is that the literature review should encompass all the review or all the literature published in the last 5 years. But at the same time, as I discussed earlier, giving you example of that Watson and Crick article on genetics, that older articles are also acceptable if they are relevant and historical, and they do connect to the research that you are doing. So try to restrict yourself or the literature review to the last 5 years, but you can also use older articles. And probably a very important aspect that many of the researchers working in developing countries like Pakistan, they tend to forget when they are writing this literature review for their dissertation or thesis. Please do not focus on the international biomedical literature only. The problem is that most of the international databases like Ovid, Sinahal, Medline, PubMed Central, EBSCOhost, most of them, they capture only the data from the journal which are being published from the West or from the developed world, maybe Northern America, Europe, Australia, Japan. So the problem is that most of these databases do not contain the research that is generated from the developing world. For example, Southeast Asia like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, or probably from Africa. So you need to understand that you have to search and hunt for the literature which is published in the regional databases, and also for the literature that are published in the national journals or the national databases. So for those of you working in Pakistan, for example, the best way to look for local literature from Pakistan is to explore the website of pakmedinet.com. So please understand this thing, that do not focus on the international literature only. You have to mention regional and local literature as well.